Okay, so today we're going to learn the Sicha in Parshas Nasoi, Sicha Aleph. This is a very short Sicha, one of the shortest Sichas I see, and yet the lesson from this Sicha is such a potent, such a strong lesson, and especially in Avodas Hashlichus. All right, the Sicha Parshas Nasoi. The Rebbe basically is going to speak about the general point that the parsha speaks about counting Shevet Levi, and he says how it's relevant, how there's a hayra for each and one of us, even though not everybody's from Shevet Levi, and especially we are not in the real midbar as it was back then. How is it relevant to our times? So in Aleph, Kimadum B'Karma Pamim, as it was spoken many times, Haklau, we mentioned the rule, Shah Torah hi nitzchis. The Torah must be everlasting, so all the lessons of Torah, even though it's not as it was back then, as it's written, but it must be betakvoi. It has it's still the same strength to all parts of the Torah, not only the mitzvahs. Obviously, we must keep the mitzvahs, but even the things that seem to be insignificant, just a story, somehow has a lesson in our service to Hashem. Gama ayinyanim, even the points Shabbat Torah, even the points that I mentioned in the Torah, asher begashmius einam bizmanenu, which in physical we don't see them. We're not in the same situation. The Torah talks about how the Yidden were in the Midbar. We are not in the Midbar now. Nevertheless, nimtsoim heim gam achshav beruchniyusam. Nevertheless, in the spiritual sense, the points, the lessons that we could learn are relevant even today. And not only it is that way, Beruchnius, says the Rebbe in the brackets, on the contrary, Hare Haruchnius hu moker v'sheres agashmis. We know that the Ruchnius, the spiritual aspects, are actually the root, the source, what leads to Gashmis. So it is actually the source of each lesson is applicable in all times. V'chein, so too, be'inyan anemer b'parsha seinu, about the point that's discussed in this week's parsha, and Parshas Nasoi, where the parsha begins with minyan, where it speaks about minyan b'nei Gershon or b'nei Merari, to count the sons of Gershon and the sons of Merari. V'haschalosoi, and really the beginning of the counting, ha'nemeres b'soif parsha gedemis, really is already started in the end of the last parsha. In the end of Parshas Bamidbar, it speaks about Minyan b'nei Kahas, the three brothers who are Gershon, Kahas, and Merari. So Kahas was counted, and it's mentioned in the end of Parshas Bamidbar. Gershon and Merari are counted, and it's in this week's Parsha. Kahas hamistayim b'Parshasenu, which finishes off in our Parsha. So even this point that the Eibishter says we should be counted, the three sons of Aaron should be counted, for Moshe should be counted, even though this counting, obviously today is not everlasting, it was only relevant to back then. Back then there was a commandment to count the sons of Gershon, Kahas, and Merari. And even that they were told to count. It wasn't an ongoing mitzvah commandment. Rak pa'amachas. It was only told to count once. B'shana hashenish l'tzeis me'eretz Mitzrayim. The second year after leaving Mitzrayim, they were counted once and once only. So even though it was a one-time event and it was in the midbar back then, nevertheless, ha'inyan beruch niyusoi, the point of the counting in its spiritual sense, hu nitzchi, has to be everlasting, b'chol dar v'dar, for every generation. So there must be something that we could connect to the counting of the sons of Gershon, Kahas, and Merari. Beis, so the Rebbe says, v'yuvanzeh, to understand this, something else must be explained, which is a more general question. And that is, the Rebbe is going to say, the Yidden were in the Midbar for 40 years. What's the point? Why were the Yidden in the Midbar for 40 years? They just left Mitzrayim. Eventually they're going to Matan Torah. Eventually they're going to Eretz Yisrael. What took the 40 years? And we know that that's the punishment for the Meraglim. Yom Lashana, for every day they left. And they came back and said the bad news. For every day the punishment is a year's time in Midbar. Says the Rebbe, that I get that. However, well, why does it have to be in a Midbar? Why can't it be 40 days, 40 years you'll be out of Eretz Yisrael, but why can't it be in a city? What's the significance? What's the irah from the fact that, or why was it set up? Why was the punishment to be in a Midbar, in a desert specifically? Says the Rebbe, the Yuvanza, to understand this, Bahaktim first to explain, Lama Hutzchu Yisrael Yishar B'Midbar Abarim Shana. Why did the Yidden have to be in a desert for 40 years? Hey Nemes, I understand. Shayidei Cheta Meraglim Nigzar Aleim. I know that because of the sin of the Meraglim, this decree, this punishment came out against them. Shalei Yikansil La'aretz Arbaim Shana. That you shouldn't go into Eretz Yisrael for 40 years. Why not 40 years? Yom L'Shana, Yom L'Shana. A year for every day of the Meraglim's touring. Okay, but Harei Hagzeira Hoisarak B'Negeya L'Knisasim L'Eretz Yisrael. The punishment was only that for 40 years you will not go into Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because Chatu Bazeh. Because the sin of the Meraglim was Shalei Ratzu La'Los Eretz Yisrael. They spoke about in ways that we shouldn't go into Eretz Yisrael. So as a punishment, L'chein Nanshu, so for the punishment was Shalai Yikantzeh. You spoke bad, you don't want to go into Eretz Yisrael? Fine. You're going to get a punishment for a period of time you're not going in. Midah keneged midah. Tit for tat. That's what you spoke bad, that's what's going to happen. Avol, nevertheless, says the Rebbe, I understand they have to be out of Eretz Yisrael for 40 years, but why can't they be in a city, in a Makom Yishuv, a place where people are living? Shaloi Eretz Yisrael, out of Eretz Yisrael, 40 years in a city somewhere, in a suburb somewhere, whatever it is, and then after the 40-year period of time, bring him into Eretz Yisrael. V'loi b'midbar, what's the point? Why did they have to be in a desert? Ubifrat, and especially that we're not just talking about any midbar. We're talking about a midbar that the Torah describes, a midbar hagadol v'hanayra, this big, fearful, fearsome desert, nachash, saraf, akrav. It was all the snakes and scorpions. It was dangerous. V'tzimoin ashe'im this thirst. There was no water. Why? What's the point of this extra part to it? And the point why it was set up that way is Kimavur Lekutei Torah Reish Parsha Shenu. So it's brought in Lekutei Torah to explain the significance of the midbar. Shatam the Siyasim Midbar in Mishkan V'Kelev, it says that the reason why the Yidden went through a journey, traveling through the midbar, carrying the Mishkan and all its vessels, Haya was Kidei Lachnia Koyach Yenikas HaChitzainim. Somehow, for some reason, the chitzainim, the klipa, has a strong sustenance, has a strong grab in a midbar, in a desert. In a desert, that's where all the klippas is the roots for the klippas. So the Yidden traveling in the midbar with the Mishkan and the Kalim, that would break the strength of the chitzainim, the strength of the klippa. Sheshayrash yinikasam hu b'midbar dafka. For whatever reason, the source of chayis for klipa is very strong in a desert. A desert is a place where it's free for all. That's what klipa is. The Yisera Mizu, perhaps even more than that, al yidei sheichniu asechitzainim, by the fact that the Yidden subdued, controlled the negative in that situation, va'achoshech hamastir, and they controlled the darkness that was concealing, they control that. That made them able to hoyu mamshichim gili elikus. Through that, they were able to draw down high revelations of godliness. Ubechdei lifozah. So to be able to accomplish this, hutzruchu liyos b'midbar mem shana. The Yidden had to be in the midbar for 40 years. So it was set up that they should go to a midbar dafka because they're going to reach a very high level, or Hashem wanted them to reach a very high level. And what level was that? To be machnia de chitzainim. That's why go through the midbar. So the Rebbe in Ha'ara 8 says, if it's all part of the plan, so they should be able to reach high levels, why it seems to be that this is only as a punishment for what the Meraglim did. If the Meraglim didn't sin, they would have not gone through the Midbar. How would they reach that level? So the Rebbe says, Yesh Leimar, it must be that if not for the Meraglim, this birur, this purification that they were doing in the Midbar would have been done in another way. But it still has to be done, and it brings down a very high revelation. Bipashtus, in simple words, says the Rebbe, Al Yidei Masoras B'nai Yisrael B'Midbar, through the Yidden journeying through the desert, what happened when the Yidden were there? Haya'anon, Hayreges, and the Chashim V'Akravim. The clouds that surrounded the Jews would kill all snakes and all scorpions. V'gam Hafchu Asa Midbar L'Makim Yishuv. A midbar by itself, a desert by itself, is a vacant place, a wild place. So many Yidden traveling through the midbar makes it as a place where it's a settlement, where people are living. Says the Rebbe, midbar, in general, a desert, nivdal mimakim yishuv beikar b'shnei yonim. A desert is different than a settlement and a city, perhaps in 2 points. Aleph, number one, la yoshav adam sham. In a desert, nobody lives. It's not a place. It's not a place for people to live. Where in a city, people live. So that changed when the Yidden were in the Midbar, because when there were 600,000 Jews in the Midbar, Yashav Adam Sham. Obviously, it was a settlement. It was people. So it changed that aspect of the Midbar. Beis. Another point that the Midbar has. Eretz loy zerua. It's a land that doesn't produce, nothing grows there. Nothing grows there. So how did that change when the Yidden are in the Midbar? Because we know what the Medrash says, that b'yois b'nei Yisrael b'midbar, when the Jews were in the Midbar, hayu amayim b'be'era shel Miriam, we know that the well of Miriam went with them, traveled with them, and the well of Miriam, migadlim mini deshoyim v'ilonos le'ein sof, the Medrash says, that would make grow fruits and beautiful grass unlimited. So that part also changed while the Yidden were in the Midbar. Zel gamatam. This is also the reason, at least b'pnimis anyonim, at least in the deeper sense, shemnimnu halavim b'miyuchad, that why the Levim specifically were counted. And the Rebbe says, mi ben shloishim shana, from once they turned 30 and older, they were counted, la'avedasam, for the service that the Levim did. What was their service? To know how many of them, the exact number of how many Levim are suitable to do the service. Which service? The Nesias HaMishkan VaKelim. Who's able to do the service of traveling with the Mishkan, and traveling and carrying the vessels that are in the Mishkan? Because Sha'al Yadam, because with the Mishkan and the traveling of the Kelim, Hafchu Asa Midbar LaEretz Neishavas, they were able to transform the Midbar, what was a desert, a place without settlements, a place without fruits, and turned around completely the opposite. What does the counting do that? How counting the Shevet Levi helps that? Says the Rebbe, Ki al yedei haminyan hamayuched be'inyan zeh, because they specifically counted for this point. Nasu b'miyuchad b'zeh davar chashuv. When you count something, it makes the thing honorable. Each thing special, honorable. V'lachein, because it became so special, hamidbar lo yifil aleihem. Despite the fact that the midbar is a very rough place, midbar has hein begashmis and hein beruchnius. It symbolizes roughness, hard to survive in a midbar. So when you're talking about something that's chashuv, something that's special, will not get affected of the turbulence of the midbar. Because there is a halacha that says, Ki davar shebeminyan loy batal. Anything which is counted does not become nullified. It's not insignificant. It cannot be overtaken. Because when you count something, that shows that it's special. Not only the Yidden won't buckle to the pressure of what Midbar stands for, because they're special. Adarabba, on the contrary, Haim Yahafchu Oisei La'eretz Neshavis. The Yidden will not only be affected, they will transform the Midbar to a land of where they can live. Gimel. Inyan's at this point. Lasois mi Midbar Eretz Neshavis. This point that we say to make from the Midbar, from a desert, a land that you could live. V'hakoyach alzeh milmayla. And as mentioned before, that the strength of how the Yidden were able to transform this was by the very fact that al yidei atzivoy lemnoisam, because they were commanded to be counted, and a counted thing is chashuv. This lesson, hu inyan nitzchi, that's everlasting. Kechol inyan shebetayra, like any other point in Torah, and it's everlasting, relevant to chol der v'der, for any generation, even our generation. Listen to what the Rebbe says. When a person looks around his neighborhood, Bahu Nimsa, in his surroundings, where he's living, Lapa'amim, he kazu, sometimes he comes to the conclusion, wow, I'm living in a jungle. I'm living in a desert. Sheyira, he feels, Shu bechinas midbar yashav adam ha'elyon sham. I am living in a desert. What kind of desert are you living in? You're not living in the Sahara Desert. You're living in a city. But in the Ruchnius, you're going to feel I'm living in a place that Adam HaElyon, God Almighty, hasn't settled there. It's a schmutzige place. It's Goyishkeit. Ki roiv b'nei Adam, because most of the people, b'svivasoi, most of the people around him, they know nothing about godliness or Adam Elyon, about God. And and even some of the people who do know, and even those that get awoken to behave like Hashem wants in the Torah, fine, they're better. But let me tell you something. Shlomo Melech says in Keheles that there is no righteous person that doesn't sin. So if I look around my neighborhood, I look around my surroundings, I say most of the people don't know nothing about godliness. And even the ones who do know, they're also sinning, they're also falling. But then the Rebbe interprets yechta to a more delicate level. Yechta doesn't mean that everybody sinned. The Rebbe says yechta could also mean skips, misses. Al Kopanim, even if he does do everything, there are good guys who are doing everything. Al Kopanim yachsir michadiboy lemevad shetzarich lias bavidase. I look around, even the people who are doing good are lacking to do it at the level they're capable of doing it, or they should be doing it. So when I see that, you know what that does to me? Al pizeh, when I see that, I come to a conclusion, that I am living b'midbar asher yashav adam sham. I'm living in a desert that no man settled there. No Yiddishkeit, no godliness settled there. Ki adam ha'elyon, because godliness, einenu sham ba'oisen shel yashvus. The Eibishter, godliness, I don't find in a permanent way anywhere around me. His yashvus means kvius in a settled word, a settled manner. Yeshiva, the Rebbe writes in the bottom in Ha'ara 18, ein yeshiva elalosh lakava. The word yeshiva, yashav, means settled, time, permanent. We don't have any serious godly institutions or behaviorals around me. So what's that going to affect me? Yachala Eved, to the person who's looking to serve Hashem, it might lipo ba'atzvus v'yiyush. It might put him into a position of atzvus, of depression, and yiyush is giving up chas v'shalom. Lintosh shlichusoi, he'll forget about, he'll give up on his shlichus, be'aniyei ircha, to worry about the poor of your city, and v'lonas l'makamacher, and he'll go to another city. He'll go to another place, maybe somewhere else. I'll find more Yiddishkeit. Says the Rebbe, if that's what happens to you, Al zeba ha'ira. Therefore, this is the lesson from this week's parsha. Linsaya b'midbar. Don't run away. Stay in the midbar. Travel through the midbar. Vilashanoisoi. And do what you could do to change the midbar. Just like in the Siyas B'nai Yisrael b'midbar shebeparsha seinu. Just like the Yidden traveled in the midbar, as mentioned in our parsha. K'moish and the Siyasim b'midbar oz. Just like the Yidden traveling in the midbar back then, Haisal Pitzivei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, was on the commandment of the Eibishter, and because it wasn't the commandment of the Eibishter that gave them the strength, that Hafchu HaMidbar L'Makim Yushiv, they were able to transform the desert to a settled place. Keinu b'negei l'kol echad v'echad miYisrael b'chol hazmanim. So too every Jew in any time, shebechol makom shu nimtza, wherever he may be, even if you're living in a wild desert, the fact that you are there, it's not it happened. No, it didn't just happen. You are there in the shlichus as a messenger of the Eibishter, as the pasuk says, May Hashem mitzadei gover kainanoi, that all the footsteps of a person is directed by Hashem, and the Eibishter put you in that position, so you should transform it. You should change that place al yedei avedasei, through that your service l'makim b'yishuv adam, to a place where a person can be settled. And over here, it doesn't mean a person, Adam ha'elyon. It means God feel comfortable to be there. There is a fascinating ha'ara that you're not allowed to skip. In ha'ara 19, because it shows you a vision of the Rebbe at Shlichus. Here the Rebbe says that despite what you see around you, despite how not holy, not Jewish it's around you, stay there and do your job. So the Rebbe in ha'ara 19 asks, doesn't the Rambam hold different? The Rambam says that a person gets strongly affected by his neighborhood, by his relatives, by his neighbors. So the Rambam says if you're in a country where everybody doesn't behave well, you should leave that country, because naturally you follow the peer pressure, etc. So the Rebbe says, what I'm saying seems to contradict. I'm telling you to stay there, and the Rambam says to go. Says the Rebbe, this is the key in the Ara. The Rambam was talking about somebody who is wishy-washy, somebody who could be influenced by the surrounding. But we're talking about Avo. I'll read you the words, the great words of the Rebbe. Avo l'machlit b'chol ha'toikif. If you decide, whatever happens, I am not changing. I am committing myself that I'm going to change the surrounding around me. Then Chazal say, they promise us, anybody who wants to make things tar, they'll help you from above to do that. So a person like that, you will get the powers from above not to be drawn in, not to be influenced by the surrounding around you, and not only not to be influenced, you'll be able to change them. So that's obviously the Rebbe's opinion in Shlichus, sending people everywhere and not worrying what's around there. So now everything we just said is about the Parsha, where the Parsha says they counted B'nai Gershon, B'nai Kahas, and B'nai Merari. They were Shevet Levi. I'm not a Levi. How is it it's a beautiful lesson, but maybe it's only relevant to Shevet Levi. Says the Rebbe, 1 second. Api Mashakasav Rambam, the Rambam writes that Veloy Shevet Levi Bovad, many of these halachas, many of these lessons are not only relevant to Shevet Levi. Elakol ish v'ish, any individual, Ashenad Varucha Ita, anybody who pledges to do good, to be like serving like the Levim. V'hibada Lamed Lifnei Hashem L'Sharsoi, anybody who dedicates time to serve Hashem, Yiyah Hashem Chalkei V'nechalasoi, K'moi Shezacha L'Kainim L'Levim, just like the Eibishter gave special chusim to the Kainim Levim, any Yid who dedicates his time similar to what the Kainim Levim did serving in the Beis HaMikdash, a regular Yisrael will get those blessings too. Harei kol echad ve'echad, So it applies to every individual. The imraki nadev rucha yosei. If he only commits and he pledges to do lahayros drachav hayisharim, to teach the Eibishter's ways, umishpatav hatzadikim, and his just laws, l'rabim, to the masses, yutan loy milmayla, he will be blessed, and they'll give him from above hakoyach, the strength, v'hachashivus, and this honor, ache'ene batel, that you will not become nullified. You'll stand strong. You just have to make that commitment. And that strength you will get to fight and to do this will go midarga lidarga, from one level to the next level. Because as we see in the psukim, that when the Torah says to count b'nei Gershon, it says nasai esroish gam, also. So also means you're sort of like a tag along. In the beginning, you start off this siyas roish, counting bitziruf legadol al menu, together with somebody who's higher than you. But that starts off in the beginning. Va'ad, when you stand strong, it will be ledarga de b'nei kahas. It will be similar to how the pasuk describes the counting of the sons of kahas. Nasay esroish b'fnei atzmai. They were counted by themselves, not as a tag along to somebody greater. When you have that commitment, you have that koyach, you will have biyacholtoi. It will be within your powers, lases makom himatzoi, to make whatever place you're in. Gam b'tchilaya midbar. Even if originally when you came there it was a midbar, you could change it over to a dira lo yizbarach, to a dwelling place for the Eibishter. Dalid. Ha'ira amura, the above mentioned lesson, shayachas hi la'avodas ha'adam im atzmoi. Until now, we were talking about how you could, what your feeling should be to your neighbors, to your surroundings, to your community. So it says, don't be affected, and work with them and change them. How about me, myself? Says the Rebbe, the same is about yourself, analyzing your maimed amatzav. When a person makes an honest accounting, mimasha avar olav, how life is going by himself. Sometimes hasacha kol, the bottom line, sometimes after sitting down, you sit down and you think, what did I do for the last 20 years? You say, you know what? I'm like a desert. I'm empty. So what does that do to you? Al yedei, when you feel you're empty, you haven't accomplished anything. You could fall into a depression, give up. You could think to yourself, how am I able to change my behavior? I'm already for so long behaving one way. It's a nothing. We'll continue that way. Ubefrat, says the Rebbe, especially im avar v'shonaba, if he's doing the same things for so long, which Chazal say that you do things once, twice, nasa like a heter. It already becomes permissible for you. Even things that are not good, it's already mutter for you. Ubefrat, especially im hayaragol ba yoisem beis pamim, especially if you did it more than twice, it becomes a custom. All systems go. And the Rebbe in Aras 26 brings different opinions of when things become accustomed to you. And he quotes a Ramah in the beginning of Hilchas Shchita. It says that a person who doesn't shecht often shouldn't just do it by himself, because he's not trained yet. But if he does it, he did it at least 3 times. 3 times makes him rogil. So if somebody over here we're talking about, if somebody is doing things already 3 or more times, and the negative side, he feels that it's all right. How am I going to change now? So this is what the lesson we teach you. Just like these sons of Levi, they were counted now from 30 years old and older, but they were 30 years old. So until 30 years, we don't know what their behavior was. It all starts from the 30 years on. And Levi, just like the sons of Levi, only the ones who are 30 and older were counted. Guess what? Before they were 30, they weren't able to service in the Mishkan. Not only, the Rebbe says, not only because under 30 they're not qualified. The Rebbe in Ara 27 says, because this is where the Mishkan was just built. The Mishkan wasn't even around before then. So listen, look, put yourself in their position. They weren't involved in the Mishkan, and now it's 30 years old. They made a change. They changed, and they did a tremendous thing. That now they're servicing the Mishkan, and they're doing everything to break the Midbar. Ubecholze, nevertheless, nitin lehem hakoyach, they were given the strength. They were given the strength. Va'ad l'nasa yesroish, to a very high level of strength. Shemei azul hala, from 30 on, yiyu noisei hamishkan, they were able to carry the Mishkan. And what did the carrying of the Mishkan do? Yahavchu hamidbar l'makim yishuv, that transformed the desert to a place of settlement. Umay serav, and it's a fact. Shenase kol zeh b'poyel, it actually happened. If it happened to them, Kainhu b'cholecha ve'echad, so too it should happen to each one of us. Shemibli habet al matzavei ad achshav, despite how your situation, how your life went until now, be'im yachlet, if you make up your mind, shemikan ulahaba, from now onward, yamei lifnei Hashem l'shar se'elavdoi, I am serving Hashem, like the Leviim. Yutam lo yakoyach l'taras atzmei, they'll give him the strength to purify himself, ves begodov, and whatever unclean clothing, any not good things that he might have done. Mikola anyonim abilti ritzuyim shahayu ba'avar, from all the negative things of the past. Be yosef b'midbar, until then he was talking in the desert, negative. Ulam hamshich gili alikus benafshay, so you should be able to draw down there are high revelations in yourself. Va'alav yoimar, so on you this should be able to be said, just like in the Midbar, Hashem makes the Mishkan, and Hashem dwells there. Shachanti b'soicham liyas Mishkan lo yizbarach, that I could become the Eibishter's Mishkan. Hey, so that the person should be able to make himself and his surrounding a dwelling place for the Eibishter. So he has to, it's a two-pronged system. You have to do two things. A, the sur meira, you have to push away the negative. And the second one is asay tov, and deal with the positive, do the good. Ubedugmas melech basiv adam, just like a king. What does a king do when he wants to build a palace? When you want to build him a palace, and that's what we're doing, making a dwelling place for Hashem. First, you got to clean up the mess, all the schmutz of the area where the palace is being built. Get rid of the schmutz. And only then you can bring in nice vessels, nice kalim. As it is in that physical palace, so too when you make Hashem a dwelling place, so we also need both of these things. Sur meira, get rid of the negative, get rid of the schmutz, v'asei tov, and then you do good. And says the Rebbe, and even this system, what comes first, what goes second, you could see from the counting of how they were told to be counted in the parsha. Gam inyan zeh nirmars b'bnei Gershon u'bnei Kahas noisei Mishkan. This is hinted in the two sons of Aaron, the two sons of Gershon and Kahas, that they carried the Mishkan. Gershon, the first one is called Gershon. Gershon, interpretation of the name Gershon could also mean miloshin gerushin. Gerushin is a divorce. Getting rid. You're doing the act of getting rid of the past. Sur meira. Ukahas hu miloshin v'loy yikais amim, which is collection, bringing in. Asifas v'kibbutz inyonim atoivim, bringing in the good. That's the asay toiv. So you have to do Gershon, you have to clean up the mess, and you have to do kahas, start doing the good and bringing more and more. And u'kamoisha Gershon noile lifnei kahas, and just like Gershon was born before kahas. Kainhu gam b'seder ha'avodah. So too, it is that way in how you service Hashem. How you serve Hashem. Shebetchila tzarech liyos sur meira. First, you got to do the service of Gershon, cleaning up the mess. V'achakach v'asei tov, and only then you do good. Bedugma siddur kelim naim, similar to bringing the nice vessels in. Sheba la'achrei nikuya heicho mikol lichluch. That you only bring it in when the place is clean. So there's two very important ha'aras here. Number one, the Rebbe in Ha'ara 30 talks about he's only concentrating on Gershon and Kahas. What's with Merari? So the Rebbe says Merari is also Melashim Merirus, negative, bitter. So Merari is together with Gershon. And then, and you see that Gershon, the Merari is younger than Gershon, and Merari had the same service, the same type of service as Gershon had. So Merari and Gershon are all about Sur Meirah, and Kahas is all about Asay Tov. The next point the Rebbe said that's why Gershon was counted first. That's why Gershon was born first, because first comes Sur Meirah and then comes Asay Tov. So the Rebbe in 34 says, if that's the way it should be done, why is Kahas counted first? If in birth, because in Seder Avodah you first do Gershon, and then you do Kahas, why when they were counted, Kahas was counted and then the last week's Parsha, and Gershon and Merari are counted this week's Parsha? So the Rebbe says he was counted first because he's more chashuv, because he represents Asay Tov. Vav. Pa'ulas ha'avodah de sur meirah v'asei tov. This serving Hashem in pushing away the bad and doing good. Muvanim hei me'achiluk shebei masa b'nei Gershon l'masa b'nei Kahas. You can even see it in a step further. Not only by their names, Gershon means to push away, Kahas means to collect. You can actually see in how their service was. What was their job? B'nei Gershon, the sons of Gershon, Nasu es Yiriyas HaMishkan. They carried the coverings of the Mishkan. Masha Enkem b'nei Kahas, Nasu Klei HaMishkan. They actually carried the vessels of the Mishkan. The Aron, the Shulchan. What does that show? Hachiluk bein ha'yiriyos v'chulu v'ha'kelim. What's the difference between the covering, the surrounding, or the kelim itself? Sheha'yiriyos, the covering, all they do is makifim u'maginim. All they do is surround and protect. That means keep the bad guys out. That's Sur Meirah. That's why Gershon carried that. And that's why, according to the Ara 30, Merari carries also something that's makif u'megin. Masha'enkin ha'kelim, however, the individual kelim, ha'reyesh l'chol kli avoida u'pu'ula miyachedes loy. Then every keli has its own service. Aron, ha'edus, Shulchan, Belechem, each one is individual. The inyanim ba'avodah, in simple words, what does it mean avodah? Sur meirah, which is shlila, which is negative. Magina ala adam, protects the person. Me'a asur olav mazikoi. It protects the person from the things that are negative, that could cause harm. Stay out. Asay toiv, however, the positive, asiyas mitzvahs, to do mitzvahs, sheheim edus, which are testimonies. For example, yad ha'machalekes tzedakah, a hand that gives tzedakah, naser merkava mamish, becomes a chariot to the Eibishter. Al yedei beis ha'avodas, by doing both of these services, sur meirah and asay toiv, blocking the outside and doing an actual mitzvah, nasa mishkan, you create the mishkan, and not only in the physical sense, but dira lo yizbarach b'shlei musa, you make a dwelling place for Hashem in complete manner.